Is the Rolex Explorer II actually underhyped? Or is there a reason no one talks about it? We pulled the real market data, price trends, and collector insights to see if this might be the smartest Rolex to buy right now. Let's break it down. Hey everyone, I'm Justin, head of photography here at Bob's Watches. I've shot just about every Rolex you can imagine. The Submariners, Daytonas, and GMTs are the ones that get all the attention. But personally, I love the Explorer II, so much so that I actually own one in my personal collection. The Explorer II often lives in the shadow of Rolex's hype models. Let's be honest, it's not flashy, it's not the first watch people think about as a status symbol, and it wasn't built for the average buyer. But that's exactly what makes it so interesting. It's the definition of a tool watch, and in a world of hype, this watch is all substance. Today we're going deep. We're not just looking at the watch, we're looking at the market. Now, before we start comparing numbers and talking value, let's set the stage. I'm gonna break down what makes this watch different, why most people overlook it, and then we're gonna take a look at the 2020 to 2025 sales data and see if this is the best buy right now. So let's kick things off with its history. First, let's get one thing out of the way. The Explorer II is not the Explorer I. They're completely different watches. The Explorer I is a time-only field watch with 36, 39, and 40 millimeter options. This is a 40 or 42 millimeter watch with a GMT complication. The Explorer II's lineage has evolved through several key references. It all started with the original 1655, known as the Freccione by Italian collectors, meaning big arrow. This was a funky 1970s design. It was purpose-built, not a huge seller at the time, and is now a massive collector's item. Then came the rare 16550. This was a transitional model. Introduced the modern style hands, a sapphire crystal, and more importantly, the white polar dial for the first time. Early models had a paint defect that caused them to turn a beautiful creamy ivory color. Find one of those and you've got a true grail watch. For decades, the 16570 was the standard model. From the late 1980s all the way up to 2011, this was the 40 millimeter version that many of us know and love. It's slim, robust, and for a long time, it was one of the best values in all of Rolex. In 2011, Rolex launched the 216570, and this was a major update. It jumped to 42 millimeters, it got the new maxi dial, and most importantly, it brought back that iconic orange 24-hour hand from the original 1655. Today, we have the current production 226570. This is a refinement of the 42 millimeter model featuring the new generation caliber 3285 movement. It's the peak of this watch's technical evolution. So what makes the Explorer II different than either a Submariner or a GMT Master? It all comes down to its specs, and the single most defining feature is its fixed 24-hour bezel. Unlike the GMT Master's rotating bezel, this one is stationary. It's designed to be used with the 24-hour hand to provide a clear day-night indication. The original idea was for speleologists, cave explorers. When you're in total darkness for days at a time, you lose track of AM and PM. By looking at that 24-hour hand pointing to the fixed bezel, you always know if it's 10 AM or 10 PM. Today, you can also use it as a true GMT. You can set the 24-hour hand to your home time, or GMT, and use the main hour hand as your local time, which you can jump in 1 hour increments. It's incredibly practical for travel. And of course, you can't talk about the Explorer II without the polar versus black dial conversation. The crisp white polar dial, it's iconic. The black outline hands and markers create this phantom effect that just makes it so legible. The black dial, on the other hand, is the stealth mode option, but that pop of orange gives it a unique character. With its larger case size and distinctive wrist presence, it has a tool aesthetic through and through. The brushed steel bezel is designed to take a beating and hide the scratches. This really defines who the watch is for and who it's not for. But what does the market think? We pulled our sales data from 2020 to 2025 to see the real story. First, let's take a look at sales volume. Look at this graph. We saw a massive jump in demand from 2020 to 2021. This was the peak of the watch hype market. The entire industry was on fire. Then we see a decline over the next 2 years. This is the market correction we've all been talking about. But look at 2024 and 2025. Volume nearly corrected itself and has remained very consistent. It's not at the 2021 peak, but it shows stable, healthy demand from true enthusiasts. Average price followed an identical path. Secondary prices matched that demand with a staggering 40% jump from 2020 to 2021. That jump corrected itself through 23 and 24. However, we're seeing prices up again, about 15% year to date. We believe this is likely an impact of the tariffs, which are affecting the entire luxury watch industry. So, which models are people actually buying? We looked at the sales data from 2020 to 2025. This is fascinating. The 16570, that classic 40mm model, is the overall top seller in terms of volume when you combine all the sales over the last 5 years. It was the top reference from 2020 to 2023. But in 2024, the modern 226570 took the lead and is still the top model sold today. In fact, the modern references, the 226570 and the 2166570, represent over 55% of all Explorer II sales in the last 5 years. This shows a clear, growing interest in the modern, larger models. Finally, let's talk appreciation. Let's use the current 226570 as our example. It has a retail price of $10,050. The pre-owned market is still sitting between $12,500 and $14,500. That's a 24 to 44% value retention over MSRP. So while it's sometimes overlooked, it's certainly not losing value. So after all this data, should you actually buy one? Well, let's break this down by a few different perspectives. First, are you a first-time luxury watch buyer? I think this is an excellent choice if you are. You get a true, robust Rolex sport model with a date and a useful complication. It's more unique than a Submariner, and you're more likely to get one. Are you a collector with 3 to 5 watches? Then absolutely. You probably already have a dive or a chronograph, and the Explorer II, especially the Polar, fills the gap. It adds a white dial sport watch that's incredibly legible and has a different feel from everything else in your watch box. Are you someone who just wants something different? This is its home turf. This is the if you know Rolex. It's for the person who appreciates the history and the function over the hype. It doesn't scream Rolex from across the room. Or are you a true tool watch user who needs daily wear durability? This watch was built for that. The 904L steel, the brushed bezel that hides the scratches, and the 100-meter water resistance. It's designed to be worn and worn hard. So is the Rolex Explorer II underrated? As our data clearly shows, it's a watch that's had its own 40% spike and a healthy correction. Underrated might be the wrong word. It's not overlooked by the people who matter. The collectors and enthusiasts who want a watch with a unique history and a real-world purpose. The market for the modern references is incredibly strong. It's not a hidden gem anymore, but it's also not a hype beast. It's something in between. It's a stable, desirable, and incredibly capable watch. Final verdict? Depends on who you ask. But for us, it's a Rolex that's absolutely worth exploring. So what do you think? Is the Rolex Explorer II the smartest buy in the Rolex lineup? Let us know in the comments below.